Hi everyone, my name is Amber from Dolls of Amber, and today I'm back with another doll video. For this week's project, I created Coraline from the 2009 stop-motion animation movie with the same name. Ever since I started doll customizing, Coraline has always been in my doll bucket list. I'm really excited about this project, so without further ado, let's get started. We will be using Ever After High's Madeline Hatter. I purposely bought her for this project weeks ago, just because I figured her petite body and her head fits perfectly with the character. To prep the doll for the project, we're gonna cut off all of her hair. I'm cutting it as close to the scalp as possible. Once it's all removed, we're gonna soften the head by dunking it in some boiling hot water. We're gonna let that sit in there for a few minutes. With a towel, I'm protecting my hand, and I'm yanking the head right off the body. With a flathead screwdriver, I'm scraping off the remaining hair from the inside. And with some long nose pliers, I'm removing all of the stubbles. If you're working on an older doll, like Ever After High and G1 Monster High heads, expect that it's gonna be a little gluey and sticky inside. It's a little disgusting, but at the same time satisfying when you get a large chunk out like this. Once we remove all of the hair, we can finally wipe her face clean with some acetone. I'm using 100% acetone for this. You can also use nail polish remover, but make sure that it has acetone in its content. With a cotton pad, we're gonna do a final wipe to make sure we don't have any leftover paint on her face. Off camera, I washed her face in the sink with some dish soap. I also painted her scalp blue to prep her for the reroot. For her hair, I'm using Saran in this lovely shade of blue, discarded from G3 Cleo, from her Coraline Fresh and her Monster Fest doll. I just separated the tinsel. I'm wetting the hair to tame it and prevent flyaways. This is a habit I picked up by rerooting Bratz heads. Basically, I widen the holes first with a needle tool before I plug in the new hair. I've showed this to you guys before, but I'm doing the knot method for this reroot. I just make a loop by wrapping the strand of hair on my finger, like this. And then I pick that up with my rerooting tool. When you start pulling it, a knot is created on the needle. That's when you can plug it into the head. Like that. With this method, you can skip the glue part in the end, since the knot method is enough to secure the hair in place. For me though, I still use glue in the end to add a layer of security on my reroots. I don't do my reroots in one sitting because I find that I always feel burnt out after. So I did this reroot in 2 days. Since we did the knot method for this reroot, it's safe to give it a boil wash even though I didn't glue the inside of it yet. Like I said, you can skip this part if you did the knot method, but for me, I'm still gonna glue the insides with Uhu glue. With a Q-tip, I'm just gonna spread that around, making sure that every hair is covered. In this part, I started cutting the hair since it's too long for Coraline's bob, making sure that it's all one length. Once done, I'm gonna prep her for the repaint. I'm gonna cover her hair with a sock, and I'm just gonna pin that in place. I'm gonna go ahead and spray the face with a layer of Mr. Super Clear, and also make sure to wear a respirator mask to protect yourself. Now on to sketching the face. I'm just using a regular pencil for this, and I'm just trying to make the eye shapes as symmetrical as possible. Although I know it's never gonna be perfect, so I'm just gonna accept it for what it is. Once the initial sketch is done, I'm gonna lighten her face a bit with Pan Pastel and the color Burnt Sienna tint. I just noticed that the head is a little tan, and Coraline as a character is pretty pale, and I just want it to be accurate. The color might look too light, but I promise this will settle down once I spray it with another layer of MSC. I took this moment to blush her face as well. I'm just using my eyeshadow palette, and I'm using mostly pinks and oranges on her face. I'm using some white Pan Pastel to highlight the high points of her face, like her nose, Cupid's bow, chin, forehead, and her under eye. I'm gonna blend that in, of course, and I'm also gonna use some orange on her lips, since I've decided I'm not gonna paint over it, and I'm just gonna build up the color using powders. Off camera, I sprayed her face with another layer of Mr. Super Clear to seal in the powders, and I'm just using my Derwent Inktense color pencils to block out the colors on her face. I'm starting off with some white for the whites of her eyes, and I'm using this olive color for her iris, And now I'm just sketching out her eyelashes. I'm drawing on her eyebrows using a brown color pencil. I'm using that same pencil for her lids. Using the darkest brown color pencil, I'm just darkening her liner and her lashes. Now I'm just lining her iris using that same dark brown. Also started filling in her pupils. And this part I'm just giving her freckles using different colors of brown. Now I'm just defining her nose and giving her a mouth line. I'm extending the ends to emphasize her smile. Decided I was gonna give her some eyeshadow, and I'm just using some orange for that. I also blushed her nose, and I think it made her look really cute. Off camera, I sprayed her face with another layer of MSC, and now I'm just busting out the acrylic paint. Starting off with some white on the whites of her eyes. With a muted brown, I'm giving her eyes some shadows, and now I'm going over her eyelines with some dark brown. Now I'm just filling in her iris and her pupils. As you may notice, her makeup is pretty simple and cute. I wanted to capture Coraline's suit in my own style without going over the top with it, since she is obviously just a child. I'm just highlighting her eyes now and adding in more details by painting on some dark lines, and I'm adding in some light brown on her pupils. I added a ring of yellow highlight to surround her pupils, and now I'm adding in her catch lights. For this, I wanted to be extra and gave her button-shaped eye shines. For this, I was inspired by G3 Twyla. I just added 4 black dots on each eye shine. I also added smaller eye shines on the side and the line on the bottom. I went over her eyebrows with some dark brown, and I'm just cleaning that up with some skin tone paint. I added a variation of white dots for her freckles, and that's about it for the face up. I just think she's so adorable. I'm really proud of how it turned out. Off camera, I sprayed it with the final layer of Mr. Super Clear to permanently seal all of that hard work. After letting it dry, I'm gonna go ahead and take off her hair cover. Now it's time to reunite her head with her body. And this part, I attempted to style her hair. I sprayed it with some water, and with a curling iron, I started curling her hair inward. Please be careful in using heat tools on your doll's hair. There's a possibility that you can ruin it and burn it if you're not too careful. Saran hair is not heat resistant. That's why I added some water on her hair to have it somewhat protected. Also, make sure to have your heat tool in the lowest setting as possible. If you're working with nylon hair, you don't have to worry as much since that hair fiber is much more heat resistant than saran. Honestly, styling her hair was such a waste anyway, because you'll see later on that it didn't really stay. I should have used straws and boiling water to do this, but the final result wasn't bad anyway, and I'm pretty happy with how it looks, so I'm fine with it. Now I'm just gonna gloss her lips with some UV top coat. I'm gonna put that all over her lips, and I'm gonna let that cure for 2 minutes. Moving on to the outfit, we're starting off with the boots. I'm again using these boots, which are actually leggings, from Shadow High Glitch. If you watched my previous video where I worked on my commissions, I used these same leggings for my Sunset Shimmer doll. I just think these leggings are so versatile, and you can turn it into any type of shoes you want. In this part, I'm just sanding in the heel part because we're gonna cover that with clay to turn it into platforms. Coraline is a child, so it doesn't make sense for her to wear heels. I'm just using air dry clay for this. This type of air dry clay is called cold porcelain clay. It dries pretty hard and flexible, and that's why I like using it. If you're doing a similar project, you can also use epoxy clay if you have it on hand. I'm just blending in the clay into the shoes, making sure that it is smooth as possible. After letting the clay dry, I'm gonna go ahead and shorten the boots. And now it's time for painting. I mixed acrylic paint with some textile medium, and I'm just priming the boots with some white. Doing this will help the yellow be more opaque later, and I think I did 4 layers for this. The boots are now completely white, and now I can add in the yellow. I started doing the heel part first. I painted the soles of the boots black, but now I'm just going over that with some brown to add in the mud details. Once done, I'm gonna go ahead and seal the whole boot with this outdoor sealer. Okay, now I'm doing the outfits. If you've watched my previous video, you'd know that I usually avoid talking about this part, but I'll do my best this time to explain whatever I'm doing here. So this is the pattern I'm using for the pants. These are 4 side pieces, and I made the patterns a while ago. I have extensive knowledge in creating doll clothes, but I'm in no way a professional. But basically, I'm gonna sew these sides all together. I'm doing the front middle pieces first. I'm going really slow with my sewing machine here. This part is just sped up in the video. But after that, the 2 front pieces are now together. And now I have to do the sides / the backs. I finished the pants off camera, and I actually lost a bit of footage, so I'm really sorry about that. But now I'm just working on the top. I actually custom dyed this fabric. It used to be black and white or gray and white, and I just dyed it orange to match Coraline's top. I hemmed everything with glue first. I'm using E7000, and I hand stitched over that. For miniature pieces like these, I don't like using pins. I usually just glue them first, and then I go over it with a needle and thread. But as you can see here, I've already connected the sleeves to the front and the back of the shirt, and now I'm just finishing off the hem on one of the sleeves. Once done, I'm just gonna go ahead and stitch the sides with my sewing machine. The sewing machine tends to hate a lot of stretch fabrics, so I'm using some paper to help the fabric from slipping and moving around while I'm sewing it. I'm also using a ballpoint needle to do this to make things more easier for me. Now in this part, I'm doing the bag. I'm sewing on these snaps first. I'm using a t-shirt material for this bag, so it's a little thin. So I decided to double the fabric to make it a little thicker. I'm gonna sew the 2 pieces right side facing each other. If you sewed doll pillows before, this is basically the same thing. I'm just gonna sew all around the rectangle, and I'm gonna leave an opening in the middle so I can flip it inside out later on. And here I am flipping it inside out. It's a little hard to see, I'm sorry. But at this point, I've already flipped the bag, and I'm just gonna go ahead and conceal the opening. And here it is. And this part, I'm just sewing the sides of the bag. These are basically tubes that I will also flip inside out later. And this part, I've already connected the sides to the bag itself. To connect the sides to the bag, I'm just doing a hidden stitch. And I'm just gonna do that for all the sides. Here's the bag after. I also sewed in the strap. I think it looks pretty cute. We're finally doing the coat. This was the hardest part of this whole project, but I was also really excited to work on it. The material I'm using for it was really thin, so I doubled the layers on all the pieces just so Coraline's striped shirt doesn't peek through when I have her wear it. I just use E7000 glue to stick the two layers together, and now I'm just gonna sew everything together. I'm first gonna connect the front and the back, and then the sides, and then lastly the hood. I completely skipped the sewing part for this coat, mostly because it took too long, and I was having a little trouble with my sewing machine. I was supposed to use the same snaps that I use on the back, but they were too big, so I ended up using Velcros instead. I also added in some fake drawstrings on the hood and some fake pockets on the side for some added detail. We're finally done with all of the outfit pieces, but we're not done yet. We're gonna make the cat. This was actually a last-minute decision. You see, what happened was I was looking at G3 Caddy's pad, and she kind of looks like a good base for the cat from the movie. I wasn't really sure if I was gonna go for this, so I created a poll on my Instagram stories, and majority of you voted to do it. G3 Pets have pixelated screenings, so it's harder to remove with acetone. As you can see, it's not coming off, so I'm just gonna paint over it later. With my X-Acto knife, I'm removing the pink fur on her neck. And now I'm just sanding the whole body and the head to prep it for the paint. There was some little indentions on the sides of her neck from the pink fur, so I'm just covering that up with some air dry clay. I'm gonna go ahead and let that dry, and I'm gonna spray it with a layer of matte varnish. For that, I'm using Bosny Clear Flap. I also made the seeing stone from air dry clay, and I'm gonna turn that into a necklace later. Time to paint. I mixed black and blue and a little bit of white for the cat's base color, and I'm just painting that all over the body. For the eyes, I primed it first with some white, and now I'm painting on some blue on top of that. I'm trying to do a gradient of dark blue to a lighter blue at the bottom, and I'm just gonna do a lot of blending to achieve this. I painted on the pupils. The cat has really sharp triangle pupils, so I did my best to do that. And I lost a bit of footage, so you don't get to see me add catch lights on its eyes or the hair that I painted in to add more dimension and texture. And this part, I'm just gonna go ahead and paint the seeing stone, a mixture of green and black, and I'm just gonna seal this in later on with some Mod Podge. For the key, I'm using G3 Spectra's earring, and I'm just gonna cut that off, and I'm just painting that black. I'm also gonna seal this with Mod Podge later on. And lastly, we received something from the mail. This is the last piece I was waiting for to arrive to complete Coraline's look, and it's these dragonfly earrings. Well, I'm gonna turn it into her hair clip. Honestly, this is just so perfect for it. I'm really happy that I bought it. I also got these butterfly earrings, which will be for another doll custom in the future. Now it's time to add some details on the hair clip. Using this screenshot as reference, I'm gonna add some rhinestones on the dragonfly. I'm gonna use UV resin as my glue to adhere the rhinestones. I'm sticking some red rhinestones, 2 on each wing. I'm just gonna add some blue on the head and the body. Once done, I'm just gonna cure that in my UV lamp. And with that, we're finally done with all of her pieces. I've already put on her hair clip. I just plugged it in an existing hair hole. And for the seeing stone, I wrapped some thread and turned it into a necklace. Here is the pants that I created. It velcros in the back, and it's a little tight fit on the ankle. I purposely did this so I could still put on the boots on top of it. Speaking of the boots, here are the iconic rain boots that she wears in the movie. Here is the striped shirt. It also velcros in the back, like this. And let's just put it on her. Now my favorite part, the yellow raincoat. I'm really proud of this raincoat. I think it looks so good. Let's also put that on. Here is the bag. I tied the key on the side as like a keychain. And now let's just put that over her head. Now here's the cat. I think he turned out so good. I forgot to show this to you guys, but I made a mini Coraline doll. I just used air dry clay to make her and some embroidery thread for the hair. The cat fits perfectly in the bag as well. And with everything together, I think we can finally call her a doll. hope you enjoyed this video. I worked so hard on this doll. Coraline will be up for sale after I upload this video. So if you're interested in giving her a forever home, you can send me a DM on my Instagram account. While you're at it, maybe you can give me a follow as well. If you want to see more videos like this, make sure to subscribe to my channel and hit the notification bell so you won't miss any videos that I upload. Thank you so much for watching this video. I'll see you again next week for another one. Take care and goodbye!